Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts, I can make a difference to your life.
Today's Effortless Attraction podcast is sponsored by Carolyn Curtis, Master Life Coach and Trainer at coachforlife.ie. Achieve an advanced diploma in our life coaching and career skills internationally accredited program. Online training or Lanzarote blended training options available. For more information, see www.coachforlife.ie.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another Effortless Attraction podcast. Well, I have effortlessly attracted a wonderful woman today. Her name is Lisa McFarland, Relationship Coaching NI. She is the UK and Ireland's leading relationship coach. Lisa says she loves giving tips and tools on how to have a great relationship. We get educated on everything else in life, but when it comes to relationships, we get absolutely nothing. And mostly we see poor examples of relationship. So Lisa's mission is to change that, to make it a normal thing, to educate ourselves on how to have healthy relationships. Lisa, you are most welcome today.
Thank you so much for having me. Who wrote that blurb? I have no idea.
I don't know. Well, this is just great. Isn't everything in life relationships, Lisa?
Yep. And we're born for them. I think maybe 2% of the population are lone wolves who just like to be by themselves. But the rest of the population, we need to be in. We're born for connection.
Now, whenever we talk about relationships, can I ask, does all relationships stem from the relationship that we have with ourselves? So say, for example, maybe the relationship we have with our boss, with our kids, with our partner, does it stem from the one we have with ourselves?
Well, I think so. And I'm not a psychotherapist, but I believe so. I also believe that for myself, I was totally codependent on my partner, where if he was happy, I was happy. If he was sad, I was sad. We grew up in the era of Jerry Maguire and Pretty Woman, where that you have to have this other to complete you, that you're only a half and we're looking for this other half. And whenever I started on my journey and my coach told me, no, that's just not right. You're already complete yourself. And it's about going through this journey of finding that self and celebrating that self and knowing the enoughness just within you and your divine spark that only you hold. I was like, oh, dear goodness, I'm 43 and I had no idea where I'm going here. So then it was that journey of finding the self, celebrating the self, and then started, then I studied to be a life coach, and that's where it all came together.
Oh, there you go. Isn't that amazing? I remember a gentleman, a wonderful human being, give me a quote from my book. He says that we're complete 100% with or without. Yeah. But it can be difficult. I'm quite sure you deal with a lot of people of loneliness, of being by themselves.
Well, the worst of the loneliness for me is being lonely in a relationship. That's the worst sort of lonely for me. For me, it's better to be by yourself than be in a bad relationship, because that's the worst sort of lonely, in my opinion. You know, not being seen, not being heard, not being celebrated within a relationship. Terrible. Where if you are not in a relationship, but you're surrounded by friends and family and co-workers who see, hear, and celebrate you, that's much better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Again, you're on point there, because I remember hearing a story of a lady that was in a relationship for many, many years, and there was the time's not right, to move on. And she realized then when she actually did step out of the relationship, her marriage was the loneliest place that she'd ever been in. She had feared being lonely by not being in it. So, Lisa, you have all of these couples that come to you for advice.
Mm-hmm.
Question, is it the women that are coaxing the men to come?
I'm going to say 80% of the time. 80% of the time. But I also coach a lot of guys, one-to-one guys, who are just really forward thinking, who are maybe in a relationship or maybe want to be in a relationship or maybe have made mistakes in the past and they want to know the tips and tools. And in my experience, guys love coaching. Absolutely love it, because it's about practical tips and tools. It's not therapy, it's coaching. It's about practical tips and tools. And I sometimes say to guys, it's like you've been kicking with your left foot and I'm going to teach you how to kick with your right foot. Okay. And they're like, oh, great, brilliant, got it. Yes, I can do that. Women tend to be a little more like, why is that happening? What do you think that, why is the reason for that? Guys are just like, never mind, we can do it better now. Let's get on with it. On the website, I have this free, I have tons of free stuff to download, but there's one of them that's called the Reconnect Letter. I cannot tell you how many fellas have downloaded that. And I said to my girls who are 20 and 21, I was like, is that not amazing how many guys who downloaded that? And they were like, it's not amazing at all, Mummy. What do you think guys want? Let's just not talk about that anymore. Let's just reconnect and move on. So we had a little laugh about that.
I totally agree as well. It's a different for men, they're thinking, than women. Women need to know the whys and what happened and how can we fix this. And a man, I think they're thinking it's not saying they're simple beings, it's simplistic. It's okay, grand.
It's much more compartmentalized, which people who identify as women, or as I like to say, in your feminine energy, people who are in their feminine energy, it's all more like spaghetti bolognese. It's all more like everything touches everything. Where people who identify as male or in their masculine energy, it's more like potato waffles. It's like one box, the next box, the next box, the next box, And I think both can learn from each other and both can celebrate that in each other,
Yeah. And as well, that we can have, regardless of the body or the form, a touch of the divine feminine and masculine within us all. That would be the beautiful balance. I said to women, the femininity energy is the caring, the empathy, the compassion, and the masculine is about taking action. It's confidence, it's moving forward. If we could just marry the two together.
Yes, and for me too, my struggle personally is shifting from each one to the other, quickly. I'm in my masculine when I'm at work. I'm holding space for couples and individuals. I'm it's just very container. It's very, and then for me, then when the business day is over, it's flipping back into that feminine, to be with my children, to be with my husband. That can be a bit clunky for me. Still working on that. Still working on that. It's all work, isn't it? It'd be boring if it was all done.
So tell me, Lisa, do you see a reoccurring common theme, perhaps with couples? Can you share a few with us, please?
Yeah. People do come to me who have gone through infidelity or maybe a big mistrust or lie. People do come to me for that, but mostly people come to me because their communication has just crumbled. And when the communication crumbles, they're arguing about silly things. They're over-arguing. Their argument style is unhealthy. And then that affects their sex life, affects their intimacy, affects their connection. That would be my two biggest things that I would see.
There's so much there. It's like, I just want to dive into all of this here. You're singing, it's like, oh, I love this. And there's a subject that people are embarrassed to talk about is sexual intimacy.
You jump in, because we talk about all the things over here.
Love it. It's a universal subject, topic, and I've worked with women myself, and we talk about this intimacy. Now, when it comes to the heterosexual, the male, female, because that's all I know to talk about really, is that the woman, I remember seeing a quote one time, the woman says, don't expect me to be like Marilyn Monroe in the evening time when I'm being cleaning the house and doing it. I'm not saying clean, even out working, that I can't switch from one to the other. And I have also heard from men that when they are intimate with their partner or their other, to see them receive satisfaction makes them feel, I am man. It's, it's that they nearly receive more from that. Whereas the woman perceives it as, he's looking he's a bit horny of himself. It gets all muddled up.
They get all muddled up. So some of my favorite quotes are, great sex on a Friday night starts on a Monday morning. Yeah. I heard another one that said, foreplay starts right after your last orgasm. So,
I am so going to love this conversation.
So it's not like we have an orgasm and then it's like, right, back to normal. It's like keeping that sexual energy alive, even though you're loading the dishwasher, taking the kids to school, keeping that sexual connection alive, which is difficult when you're busy or you've wee ones running around or you're running a business and all that sort of thing. Now, remember I said earlier that men are like potato waffles, women spaghetti bolognese. For some reason, in my experience, men seem to be able to keep that sexual energy and that sexual running most of the time. I think it could be to do with their appendage. Where women, it's more compartmentalized. I'm with the kids now, so it's very difficult for me to be a sexual being when I'm with the kids. It's very difficult for me to think about that when I'm doing this over here. So for women, I sometimes say it's a wee bit like you have to go and get it and bring it down and keep it more present. A lot of shame and guilt, and as women, generationally, the shame and guilt is, it's in ourselves, so all that sort of thing. But yeah, men are visual creatures. And it seems to me that there's nothing that gives men more pleasure than seeing their women happy and aroused. Yeah. Good thing.
I watch the bull and the cows out in the field beside me. I learned so much from them. But this is the truth here. So, and I ask many a question when it comes regard the bull, and this has to go across nature in general. So the bull he sniffs the air, right? So the pheromones when she's coming on, and he'll be with her the day before. And then when she's ready. So it has to be the same for the male and female. Actually, we do give off pheromones. And I've heard a man say this. Well, maybe not all men think it. When women put on perfume, this artificial smell, they put it on for other women. And they love this. Men love this natural smell. Nice, not unclean, but a natural smell. And I've also read up bits when women are ovulating, that's the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we go through perimenopause and into menopause, sometimes we think to ourselves, what's going to happen? I'm no longer ovulating. How's it going to happen? I think that we should be celebrating so much more the menopause, because you're constantly like that. And the fear of, if I get pregnant or we've taken that's going to be disappearing. So it's like almost stepping into our full feminine energy when we go through that transition, and that's what I think. But I think
I'm glad you think that, because every advert that comes up on my feed, it's you pee yourself, you get dry, all these. I'm like, come on, could somebody please celebrate this wonderful change? Because we're changing all the time anyway.
We're coming full circle here, that I had my 20-year-old had 6 of her friends here the other day, and we were joking about we were talking about birth control, and we were talking about all the things, because I talk about all the things. And one of them said, she said, I have a theory. Women, go through a monthly cycle, but I think guys go through a daily cycle. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm actually with it. That when guys are like really, in the morning, very aroused and horny in the morning, and then it eases off during the day, and then they need a wee nap. And then it might come back. I was like, okay, my goodness, they have a whole period in one day. It's like they've gone through the whole cycle in one day. So, it just brings me joy to talk to 20-year-olds about that sort of thing, because it's that generation that are coming up. We really have to do something differently. 70% of relationships now and 70% of partnerships end now. We have to do something different. I don't think I have all the answers, but if we all get together, we'll start talking about menopause, talking about sex and intimacy, talking about connection. I sometimes tell my couples, sex isn't necessarily a thing you do. It's a place you go with your lover, And
then all the added health bonuses. I I would swear by it. I think it keeps people young. I think it gives you a new vitality, but it's just not about the action, which it can be for, if you're not probably in a meaningful relationship. It's out there and it's getting the need fixed, I was going to say the gap filled, but not really. That we need fulfilled. But then it comes to that spiritual, that energetic connection, and it takes you to another place. It's more than the action.
Place you go. It's not necessarily a thing you do. It's a place you go. It's a place, and it's just, unless you're in a polyamorous relationship, it's for you and your partner or whatever partners you pick. But yeah, it's something. It's out of worldly. Yeah. But we have to talk about this. We have to talk about, like, when I grew up in the 70s, talking about female orgasm, I never even knew about it till I was about, I don't know what age, So we are changing things. We are moving forward, and we need to keep this truck going.
And there are many a woman have never experienced such a thing. Probably ashamed or embarrassed to talk about it. Probably don't want to say to their partner. And many a man, God bless them, they're tweaking at this and touching at that, and I can't believe I'm having this conversation. It's great.
We're asking men to let me think how to put this, that if people have children around, it's not going to actually we're asking men to fulfill a task that they have no idea what the equipment is about. So it would be like asking a welder to be an accountant. They've no idea. And then also lots of women still have no idea how their bodies actually work, what brings them pleasure. And remember, for women, it's a lot more about what's going on in their head, what they're thinking about, for men, it's much more about the genitals. For women, it's much more about getting the head and the connection in the right place. A few years ago, I found out that when young women go through puberty, they go through puberty from the head down. And when young boys go through puberty, they go through puberty from the penis up. Now, doesn't the whole world make sense to you right now? Are you better now?
I'm still visualizing that bull in the field with the heifers. Oh, very good. So we'll move to the connection through communication. Many a thing goes unsaid. Do you feel that women would be the main culprits that we can hold on to? Like a wee squirrel storing the winter nuts that I have stuff to tell you about in a year's time. Do you remember that time where we're afraid to talk about it at the time, Lisa?
Yeah. So we'll talk about the anxious attachment style, and we'll talk about the avoidant attachment style. And once I figure out why one is attracted to the other, I'll not be here talking to you anymore. I'll be on a beach somewhere in Cancun when I've got that formula organized and I've sold it to somebody, but I don't know why anxious and avoidant. And very generally, women tend to be a little bit more anxious and remember the X, Y's, and Z's. But remember, because we're like spaghetti, everything touches everything, So we're men, it's like, we talked about that. Sure, that's that done. Let's move on. Why are we ruining the day? And it's about identifying that in ourselves, going, okay, they've apologized, they've been accountable. Maybe I need to put that to bed. And stop being overly anxious about it. Or maybe you're avoidant and maybe you need to say, right, I need to be a bit vulnerable here. I need to step into this and I need to share more words about this to secure my person. So it's about both of you trying to stay in secure attachment style, even though you might want to go into either avoidant or anxious. There's free test online to find out what you are.
Wonderful. I spoke with a guy from America the other day. He is a psychologist and he had written a book. Now, I says, when he was talking, I says, are you trying to say that men just want to make women happy? He says, close enough. They don't want women to be angry with them. So we feel that if we make a woman happy, and he gave me an example and I thought, okay, that makes sense. One day he said he came down and had a shirt on that he chose. And the wife said, I don't like that shirt on you. It doesn't suit you. But he says, I think you'll find I like the shirt. Now, he said if she had have said, that black shirt looks so much more handsome on you. You look very sexy in that yellow shirt. He says, I'd have been taking 3 steps at a time up there. He says, because I don't care what I wear, want to keep her happy, but I'd rather be asked than told.
And that comes back to the feminine and masculine energy. Okay. And women tend to use the word you a lot. If I don't like that shirt on you. And when we use the word you, it's very attacking. Okay. Could you get me my shoes? It's like, oh, my feet are freezing. Oh, I'm very thirsty. Oh, it's roasting in here. Things like this. The masculine energy works so much better when we use the inviting rather than the you. You know, I like that shirt, but I love the yellow one.
Yeah.
So much more inviting.
I tried to test it out here in gym the other day. He killed a fly and I was like, my hero. He says, stop it. It's getting weird now.
Yeah, I know. We can go.
I'm like, well, okay, I'll think of some other words.
But
Lisa, I'm really in love with this. Yes, leading relationship coach in UK and Ireland. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. You feel very fulfilled when you see, like, relationships are going to go one way or the other. You're not to be the savior of all, but you're going to do your damn best. How does it feel for you? Rewarding, fulfilling?
Absolutely. And I came to this through my own struggle. My husband and I have another business together, and it was just becoming all consuming. Our kids were all teenagers. My mum's health, well, it was just, plate was overly full, and the relationship started to take more of a back seat, and silly arguments about silly things. And I had been to therapy previous to that and found it very beneficial. And one day I just said, look, mate, let's go and talk to somebody, because there's things that we love each other dearly, but I really think that there's things here that make our life easier, which is what I found when I went to therapy. There was just things that made my life easier. So we went, dear love him, didn't tell anybody. Totally, we were ashamed. We were ashamed, didn't want anybody to know. We went 3 times, and every time afterwards, I was like, "Oh my dear goodness, everyone needs to know this stuff. Everyone needs to know this stuff." Things like love languages, attachment styles, argument styles. I would have been quite a big huffer. I used huffing as it was in my toolkit. And when the therapist told me I couldn't huff anymore, I huffed with her for the rest of the session.
Isn't that brilliant? Watch me.
Hubby was very happy at that whole session. He got tons of his plate. And I was just like, if you're going to take this away from me, what am I going to use instead? She was like, have you ever heard of healthy conflict? I was like, what? So she taught us how to do healthy conflict. She's talked about, not talking about work after 6 o'clock at night, just simple as wee things. She could see we were very in love, that we just needed. We've been together since we were 18. We didn't know, we just come to it, copying the things that we'd seen in our house, not healthy. So that was it. I was like a dog with the bone then, and I went to train as a life coach, and I started a little Facebook page, and then it just all went mental. And my teenagers at that stage said, well, my Facebook's for mums, you need to get on Instagram. I went on Instagram, and then through COVID, it just took off. And coaching is different than therapy. Coaching is about the tips and tools. We might talk a little bit about your childhood and what habits you saw, and like myself, what you brought to it. But coaching is about, do you know your love language? Do you know your attachment style? Do you know how to do healthy conflict? Are you investing in your love life? How are you connecting? Are you speaking to each other during the week? The data tells us now that most couples only spend 30 minutes a week in actual real connection. That's not enough. It's not enough. How could a business run like that with only 30 minutes a week of actual real connection? It's not feasible.
Yeah, everything else takes priority. Well, I just got freshly married there a few months back myself, and both of us actually work from home. But yes, that's something that work time's finished. Start early, finish early, and that time together.
Do you know the difference between love and desire? And do you know where both live?
Go for it.
Love lives in closeness and connection. So that works really well when we're working together, and we're not working together, but if we're in the house together. Desire lives in distance. Okay. You're newly married, so I'm sure it's all still hanging off the chandeliers. Great. But Desire needs to be cultivated, and it happens in distance. At the beginning of relationship, what drives our desire is spontaneous desire. But after a while, we need to move into responsive desire, because spontaneous desire is just all about chemicals and lust chemicals and things like that. Responsive desire is what comes later, about 18 months later, where we really have to respond to each other. And that can be the emptying the dishwasher, that can be picking up the kids from school, that can be the words of affirmation, all that sort of thing. You know, we have to move from one to the other. But desire lives in distance, where maybe we see our person playing the piano, or we see our person chatting to their friends, or we see our person out cutting logs, whatever it is, you know, and you think, yes, thank you very much, I'll be having some of that.
Yeah. Oh, aye. Very important. Isn't it lovely? I see couples, you know, together, that they still have that. You can see it, rather than the relationship becomes more like I'm living with my brother or my sister.
Or your best friend, as I hear, which is
yeah. I know.
Best friend, your lover? No, I'm not too sure. They were joking here the other day, because apparently I do remember saying this when my husband and I got together. I told him I didn't want anything serious. So the joke always is, when our third child was born, my hubby reached over to me and he said, "Do you want something serious now?" And I was like, "Nope. No, it's not for that. No, I'm definitely not doing that," because serious to me is exactly what, you know, serious to me is people who don't talk in restaurants, who aren't out having a laugh, who aren't having sex. That's serious to me. And I'm like, nope, definitely not. No, still not serious. So I said, look, life can be serious enough. There are very serious times in your relationship where you have to take things very seriously and work through stuff, but it should be fun. It should be good. And if I could give anybody advice, I would say the big stuff will look after itself. It's the little things. Please sweat the little things. Look after the little things, because it's the little things that it's like grit in the gears. They will start to literally grind you down.
Boredom. Would that come onto that? I think we're not fired and wired. A bit of excitement, a bit of, just a bit of cheekiness, a bit of, if your partner's even stand at the sink with the man or the woman, whoever it is, we nip in the bum. I take no offense from that, as long as it's Jim. Absolutely.
What about you try and pick your person, you try not pick them up, but like pretend to bump into your person in Tesco's or Asda, you know, like, "Oh, hello, haven't seen you for ages. How are you?" You know, or what about you go out to a bar and you make up a fake name and all that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Just keeping it interesting, you know, investing, you know, and yeah, it's a bit embarrassing, yes, but at the start of your relationship, I'm sure there are bits that were a bit embarrassing. And people sometimes say to me as well, you know, they want their sex life back, but they want it to happen organically. I'm like, okay. Well, first of all, the only reason it happened organically at the start was because the lust chemicals were driving it. If you've been with somebody, those lust chemicals have definitely come down a bit, if not totally gone. But did we really ever do that organically? Did we not all shave our legs and go for that bikini wax because we thought maybe there was a chance at the weekend? You know, how organic was it? We all went on the date night. We all put that movie on that we thought our partner might like, you know, so we might get some, you know. How organic was it at the start? So all that effort you put in at the start, what about put some of that effort in now, 5 years in, 10 years in, 20 years in, 30 years in?
Yeah. Do you think that perhaps in relationships, people let themselves go, male or female, just because maybe the ring's on, or they don't even have to be married, but they kind of they get comfortable, and maybe she feels a bit less sexy in herself, so she gets into the comfy things. Maybe he's the same, and it just something dies in themselves.
That's the thing. It's keeping that fire in yourself alive, because that fire isn't alive in yourself. Very difficult for the other to light it up. You know, have to keep that. And that can be difficult when you've got young babies, or you're going through perimenopause, maybe a big change, or maybe you're postnatal depression, all that sort of stuff. But it's about, where does that fire and that, spark live within you, But yeah, fueling that, what makes you feel good? Is it going out and walking barefoot on the grass? What does it makes you feel good? Is it that cup of coffee in the morning? What does it makes you, is it listen to this podcast? What does it makes you feel good? Going to the gym, keeping healthy, keeps your libido alive. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant, Lisa. You reminded me that there was a visual came. I remember a lady, because I do coaching myself, and I laughed, and she sent me the message because I thought, fair play to you. She said her husband was out working outside one day. They had a young family, and she was upstairs in the window. And as he was coming across the yard, she knocked the window at him, and he looked up, and she flashed him. I think he near buckled in two, but she said she had such a laugh that day. Even just, it was so funny, and he unexpected, but there's this wee spark lit up.
Absolutely. And I'm sure they got at it that night. That wee silliness, that wee connection, keeping that all alive. It is a wee bit of work, you do have to work at it a wee bit, but it should be very pleasant work. But like you and me and our coaching, it is work, but it's very pleasant work, we love it,
Yeah. Oh, it's been wonderful. So listen, can you leave us with a few tips then? Mm-hmm. People that are in relationships, if I feel it's gone a wee bit off or it's distance, are there any things that people can bring into practice?
Do your love language test. So it's a free test online. Just go onto the Googles and put in free 5 love language test, and you'll do the wee test. Do your wee test with your partner, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend. 5 love languages are time, touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gifts. Find out what each other's are and speak to each other in their love language. We speak love in our love language because that comes most natural to us. Speaking love in their language.
Okay.
So mine would maybe be words of affirmation, but my partner's might be acts of service. So I speak all the words, but maybe making a cup of coffee, making the dinner, that sort of thing. Easy things there. Don't overcomplicate it. Yeah, a Gucci handbag would be lovely, but a packet of crisps or a bottle of wine is also great, or a lot of cherries, whatever. So do your love language test, do your attachment style test. And when you're in conflict, don't react to the red mist. Let the red mist pass. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? What am I feeling? What's fueling this red mist? I feel sad. I feel undermined. I feel disrespected. I feel lonely. Whatever the I feels are. And come to your person with I feels, not you did, and you did, and you did. I feel this. Is there anything we can do about that?
Perfect. Makes such sense.
Invest in your sex life.
Fabulous. Now, you have an online course. It's called Revive. What's that all about?
Perfect. It's also a perfect place to start, don't you know? It's a perfect place to start. And it's, yes, it's called Revive. So I still hear from people, oh, my partner would never come my partner would never come to coaching. I coach online. My partner would never come to coaching. And I was like, right, fine, I will build you all something. So I built this online course. It's on at the minute for £195. And it's like 7 videos of me blathering and then homework. So video, homework, and it's yours forever, rest of your life. The idea is that like in America and Colorado and places like that, there's actually schools that you can go to educate yourself about how to have relationships. Imagine if we had one of these, that in this country. That'd be awesome. So take away the shame and the guilt, buy the wee course, have a go at it. Maybe you're about to move in with your person. Have we go at the course? Maybe you've been with your person 20 years and that you love each other dearly, but you just are a bit stuck in the weeds. Have we go at the course?
Oh, brilliant. And ladies and gentlemen, for anyone that would like to follow Lisa for some helpful tips and hints, you will find her on Instagram. It's relationship.coaching.ni, and she is also on Facebook, Relationship Coach Lisa McFarland. And your website, Lisa?
Relationshipcoach.com.
Relationshipcoach.com.
Lots of people call me the relationship coach. I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm but I'm doing
the Lisa McFarland, Relationship Coach NI.
Exactly. Not too sure about that.
Lisa, it's been brilliant. I've loved this. Loved it. You've talked my love language today. We've really connected. Fabulous. Oh, I love it. So thank you so much for your time today. And I hope whoever got a chance to listen to this, that it's made a difference somewhat in your day and perhaps, you never know, in your life. Thank you, Lisa.
Very, very welcome. Thank you.
If you would like to advertise your business by becoming a sponsor on an upcoming Effortless Attraction podcast, send an email to evelyn@evelynmcalew.com.